Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Dave Cass and Rick Newell provide funding on behalf of the Lakeview Hotel and Restaurant at the Docks, located on Water Street near the lake in Mayville. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And good morning. What a lovely day in Chautauqua County, and the sun is just so beaming down, and the flowers are blooming, and the fruits are growing. We just took a couple of nice banana peppers off the garden already. Tomatoes are growing; they're getting big, and this is a county. I'll tell you, cukes are climbing up the wall. Put your cukes on a piece of fence. Instead of crawling all over your lawn, they'll go up the fence, and you'll have a cucumber wall. It's just wonderful living here in Chautauqua County in the summer. Ox roast time, don't forget, in Westfield tomorrow. This is July the 13th, so tomorrow, July 14th, go down to Ottaway Park, and you'll see the biggest party you've ever seen. They have an ox roast down there. They have 10 oxes all being roasted on pits. I'm kidding, but they do have this wonderful sandwich made out of slabs of beef, and it's outrageously delicious and quite inexpensive. You'll love the barbecue sauce. And they have games for the kids and games for the adults, and there's all kinds of oompa band usually, although the old oompa band has disappeared. We'll have to see who's going to be there this year. Everybody has a ball down there, I'll tell you right now. And there's just everything. There's dancing and music and food and just fooling around. You'll have a great time. Ox roast, it starts at noon. Sunday, July 14th at Ottaway Park in Westfield, New York, and everybody in the county's invited. And everybody comes, especially people who are running for office. I've met two Congressman Reeds at the ox roast. One was Dan Reed, and he was the head of the Ways and Means Committee in the Congress, and that's the most powerful position in the United States Congress. He can block or get anything approved. And of course, one of the things he got approved was the Dan Reed Pier in Westfield. We have that gorgeous pier that was built there with the funding that he got us, and he was just terrific. And now we got another Reed, Tom Reed, spelled the same way too, like my first name. We have Tom Reed, who's down in Washington doing the job for us there. And we have a great guest, speaking of politicians, today, A.J. Dolce. He is the mayor of Dunkirk, New York. And he's here to talk a little bit about Dunkirk and about the county and about life and about anything in general that he feels like talking about. And this is your magic carpet into the universe. Anybody who wants to have a word put in or give somebody a slap on the back, a boot in the rear, whatever you want, call it in, 753-JACK or 753-5225 during this program, and you'll be on the air all week long in several times a day, all over the county. You can make your message known to man and God. So here you go, guys. Call in anytime you feel like it during this show. I want to say we've got a lot of things going on in Washington which are meaningless and nothingness. The Congress there is usually stymied and blocked off from doing anything serious, although they did manage to double the interest on student loans, which, in this country, most of the colleges back when I was a kid were free. The state colleges, anyway, like Fredonia, and you didn't pay tuition. This is for the people who didn't have any money, the poor. Well, then suddenly they crept in a $50, thank you, Governor Rockefeller, who died in his mistress's bed, and they transported his body all around Washington, from what I hear. But anyway, Rockefeller, as we used to call him, no new taxes, instituted the $50 tuition. We raised our rumpus about it, didn't get anywhere, of course. And now, what is it, $5,000 to begin with? And then, of course, the cost of books has gone up almost as high. The professors have a little racket. I think they write a book and then they elbow their friend and say, "And you, of course, why don't you require my book, and I'll do the same for you." But at any rate, it costs a lot of money, guys, and you're finding out if you send your kid away, even to a state university, you better be ready to shed about $30,000, and $20,000 the very minimum, including scholarship help and everything else. But the tuition and the food and the whatever it costs, it's bucks. And of course they double the rate on student loans, but they say, "Oh no, we'll fix that. Well, let's hope so. SAFE Act, everybody's still outraged about that little act they passed through Congress, or through this New York State Legislature, in the middle of the night, and voted on it in the wee crack of dawn. No one knew about it. The state is supposed to send these bills to committee so they can look them over. And they didn't bother with that. It's Cuomo's bill. And then Cuomo had them sign it, and it was a law. No public response allowed. The public didn't even know about it. It was a surprise. And it violates the Constitution of the state of New York, violates the First Amendment for the use of firearms and the ability to own them. And it's just outrageous. Now in New York State, to buy a box of shells, you've got to go through the so-called security check, or whatever it is. What is that check? Whatever it is. Background check. Thank you, AJ. You got to go through a background check and pay for it, of course, and everything. To buy a box of shotgun shells. It's insane. And you can't only have a small number of shells in your clip, although most of the guns have a lot more. And of course, they were so dumb about it, they excluded the police, just like the public, from having big guns. You can't have a big gun. And of course, everybody's going to declare now, the next thing to do, declare any semi-automatic rifle or whatever as a military-style rifle, because it can shoot off every time you squeeze the trigger, which any pistol does. All pistols are semi-automatic, just about. Craziness going on in New York State. And thank you, Cuomo. Cuomo wouldn't get elected dog catcher. Yeah, forget the presidency, Cuomo. Chautauqua taxes may go up. We get a difference of opinion. It's been estimated as much as 20%. We are already the highest taxed county, and I hate to say this because I love Chautauqua. We're the highest taxed county in the United States. Not New York State, not upstate, the United States. Yeah, it looks like higher taxes. And we're also subject to an invasion. Again, we have a new invasion, the chestnuts. Water chestnuts, you can't eat them either. The fish aren't eating them. It's a disaster. They're growing all over the place now. And they're quite obvious because they have sort of a star-shaped seed thing, and they grow on the top of the surface. And they're trying to pull them up all over the place. But as we used to say, that's like shoveling stuff against the tide. You can't do it. I mean, there is a huge invasion over in the lake by the Ottoman Society, and they're getting volunteers over, I think, this weekend to pull them all out if they can. And Ruth Lundeen, who's the president of the Audubon Society over there says, don't do anything. If you see some, call the authorities. They'll bring down the scouts and they'll bring in the Marines. But you're going to miss one of them. They can reproduce astronomically. Oh, brother. Chautauqua. At any rate, lots of wonderful things happening in Chautauqua County. Almost every little town, village, or city has a farmer's market where you can go and get fresh produce, and the fresh produce is showing up all over the place. I've just bought a gallon of maple syrup. I remember when you get the grade B, I liked it because it was darker, and it wasn't as it was not as desired as the grade A, the amber, very light, but it was darker, and it had more flavor, so we bought that, and it used to be $8 a gallon. How about $40 a gallon today? Oh, well, Lord help us. Inflation. You will be eating cat food, seniors, very shortly, like they did during the Depression, because Congress refuses to give you a fair raise. The COLA always promised the cost of living raise. They have not been giving it to you, and now when you go shopping or spend your dollar, your Social Security is giving you just half what it gave you 10 years ago. In other words, if you went shopping for the same things, your basket would be half full. And the same with all your other costs, your insurance, your housing, your taxes, everything you're getting half your Social Security now, thanks to Congress refusing to give you a fair COLA. Yeah, call Tom Reed about that one to say, hey, we are seniors, we're living on our Social Security in great part. And when you've reduced us to just half, 50 cents on a dollar, you have murdered us. And that's even the AARP and other groups are starting food funds for seniors now because they can't afford nutritious food. They've got to buy their pills and things like that. Thanks a lot, Congress of the United States. Enough said. They can't stop leaning on the Congress because of what they're doing to people, especially the seniors. You know, they're taking away a lot of they're going to revamp the Social Security again so that you get less money, and they're going to take away Medicare, part of the Medicare program, part of the Medicaid program, which is half seniors. Yeah, stand back, seniors. You are being thrown under the bus by the United States Congress. Enough said. On the other side, we have a bright side here in Chautauqua County. We have good news. We have a number of senior groups everywhere that are just doing a terrific bang-up job. If you know a senior who doesn't belong to a senior group, grab them by the arm, drag them down. They'll never go away. They'll be there every week because they're fantastic groups. Some meet once a month, but most of them meet often. There's the Great Belt Seniors, for example. They've got, they have great senior trips on these senior programs too. They have trips. Every senior group has great trips, and they're cheap, and the company is terrific. Air-conditioned buses with a bathroom that's actually clean. And anybody can go on these trips too, so they usually have an extra few seats. So if you don't belong to the group, you're a senior, you can come along. If you're not, if they still have extra seats, if you're not a senior, if you're 12 years old, you can go along. It's a great trip. Some of the ones they're going forward to in the Great Belt Seniors, August 5th, they're going to a luncheon and theater trip, Mystery Comedy of Sherlock Holmes. And there'll be a visit to the Jello Museum. That should be fun. That should be a barrel of laughs, jiggling laughs. They're going to the gallery at Leroy House, Cutter's Cheese in a Market, offering local maple syrup. You know, New York State is one of the largest producers of maple syrup in the world. And suddenly maple syrup has become very popular in the Asian world, over in China and some of the various countries around it, and they're buying up our maple syrup. And that's one of the reasons it's going so expensive. You can actually pay as much as $100 for a gallon of maple syrup. That's what they're paying in some cases. They don't have the maple trees. They have the grapes. They've been putting in Concord grapes by the zillions of acres because they love Concord grape juice. And that's going to affect our grape prices here eventually. But we have the best grapes anyway. They wanted to know that they have at the Great Belt Seniors, they have a Tai Chi class, exercise class too. But they're not going to have any the week of July 22. That's a busy time over there. Board meeting, if you want to drop around, July 17th, 10:15 a.m. Lakeshore Seniors, a big bunch over out of Fredonia. And they finally settled down. They got a place to meet regularly. And they still meet, incidentally, at the Dunkirk Senior Group. There's another group in Fredonia that's meeting elsewhere. Stella Mikulek's the president. She said, come on over. We've got a great bunch here. And they tell us the helper of the day usually greets and meets people and serves the coffee and the cake and whatever. A wonderful job. The helper of the day was Christopher. Others assisted. I love the news. Let's see. They meet regularly over there. Lakeshore Group is a terrific bunch. Go over there and meet Pat Kozlowski and Carrie Duronsky and Christopher, who will be doing the honors. July 24th is our next meeting, and Pat Pacos and Mary Privatera will be doing the honors then. Pioneer. Well, first of all, I better say, there's no meeting coming up next week at the Dunkirk Senior Center. Remember, this is the week of the 13th. Forestville, Pioneer Social Club, they meet up in Forestville, and they a lot of fun happenings up there in Forestville about the monies and the expenses, but we'll get off that one. Carol DePiero is the presiding club member who does the job often, and opening prayer by Dorothy Merrill. Happy birthday over there to a couple of people. I'll just mention Joan Blum and Marion Zeiker, Carol MacArthur, and Teresa Latshaw. And it's just wonderful to have birthdays in a group like that, because they have a cake and they sing happy birthday, and everybody has, even sometimes give you a prize or a present or a gift or something. Happy anniversary, Betty and Henry Kazora, who are 64 years of marriage. In this day and age, when you get married for 64 weeks, it's a miracle, A happy birthday to all these beautiful people. If you have to get in on 4 meetings over there to get a free lunch. And the dinner, when the club holds its luncheons at the restaurants. Otherwise, full price, fella. I'm wiping the eyes. I had my lenses removed, and glare. Oh boy. The lens, your natural lens can expand and contract. It changes for distance and for glare. It cuts out a lot of glare and everything. I don't have that. I got a cheap plastic substitute. It does enable me to see like a hawk in the distance, though. God bless you can have distance or local, too, if you want, up close. Next meeting for the Share and Care Board is July 2nd, if you want to drop over. All right, I know, I'm running out of time. They say it's taking too long. Okay, Silver Creek Seniors, Ed Newman does a job over at Silver Creek, very well-known guy, does a lot of work over there. And they just got a new sign, I noticed, out in front of their headquarters. They own their own headquarters over in Silver Creek at the basically interchange of 20 and 5, Route 20 and Route 5. Bingo was called by Ernie Hilliker over there. They came together on Route 5 for another meeting for their hot dog roast. I wonder what they have for dinner then. Next meeting at Silver Creek, July 16th, I might add. All right. Steger High Rise, one little note here. There will be no association meeting or bingo in the month of August. Okay, they're busy in the August. There will be a Labor Day raffle for themed baskets. I like the one that has the wonderful cheeses in it, the camembert and things. Oh, yeah. If you've got camembert and usually you have to let it sit around for a few days and it gets creamy and soft and nice. But if you don't have time for that, put it in the microwave a couple of minutes and boom, you've got instant aged camembert. Or, what's the other one? Brie, yeah. All those French words. United Seniors, a quick note from them. Their president is Charles St. George, and he's legendary down in the Dunkirk, Fredonia area. And I just want to say hi to the new members, Richard and Lenora Victor. Okay, it's always important to get new members for your club because, the old members go away, one way or another. Senior clubs. Members over there, I want to say, with a happy birthday to Nicholas Andon, Florence Brzezinski, and Marilyn Ferguson, and among others, many others. Their next meeting will be, this is a group of seniors who are leaders usually, but anybody's allowed to go to the programs, and I didn't say exactly when they meet, but they meet regularly. The United Seniors, usually they meet at the Fredonia Beaver Club. I love that. At the Beaver Club, and it's leaders and people, real people interested, especially who are trying to do legislation for the seniors in the state and the federal government. We sure need it. Cat food is what you will be eating, seniors, and you'll be living in your children's cellars, like during the Great Depression, if you're lucky. Next meeting for the group over there, the United Senior Citizens, will be August 12th. It's an indoor picnic. And if you're a non-member, you're going to have to pay a few bucks, so you might as well join. The picnic includes hot dogs, Italian sausages, rolls, baked beans, potato salad, watermelon, coffee, and punch, and fooling around. Ron Johnson, the candidate for one candidate for the county executives, will be the guest speaker. Ron's getting around, I notice. You ever meet him?
Yes.
What kind of guy is he?
Nice guy.
Nice guy. Okay, there you go.
Business experience.
Okay. Our guest, A.J. Dolce, knows everybody in the county. Ox roast.
Well, now that I'm here, I do.
Okay, I have a public service announcement for you, and then you will hear from Doc Hamels, who's going to shoot from the hip today. He's got a 3-part program going. Here you go, for you.
At what age is the color that your skin was meant to be no longer beautiful? Every year, millions of young women try to change the skin they were born with and say they die for darker skin. Sadly, some actually do. Melanoma is the second most common cancer in teens and young adults 15 to 29. And one person dies from melanoma every hour. It's time. Change your thinking, not your skin. Stop tanning. Learn more at spotskincancer.org. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Academy of Dermatology. Here you go. John Hamels, you're on, Doc.
Good morning, Reed. Good morning, AJ. Good morning, everybody out there. And you're right, it is a nice day. Finally, huh?
Oh, yeah.
The ducks aren't swimming on my lawn anymore. Hey, Reed, I wanted to tell you something about something I'm going to be involved with today. And Randy, maybe you can do a close-up of right here. Can you get that for me? This is a really cool T-shirt I have. Look at that. Gaelic and garlic. You know where I'm going today? I'm going into the
Italian flag.
I'm going to the Italian festival, and we're the Irish guys that will be playing there. There's 2 parishes over in Jamestown that have merged, and part of it's Irish, part of it's Italian, and this will be our 3rd year appearing there. But I just point this out because people like to hear about what's going on in the county, and it's a huge tent. I don't know how many, like 1,000 people can fit in there. If you like Garduna and other kinds of things, they have tripe there. You like tripe?
I've ridden a trike when I was a kid.
No, not tripe. Tripe. Pipe.
Tripe is the guts of a
pig,
cow, usually.
Yeah. All right.
Actually, the cow has 5 stomachs, and that's.
Well, I just want to know if you ever eaten tripe.
Okay, you don't want to know about my.
I don't want to know about the rest of the animal. Well, anyways, they're serving lots of Italian specialties there, and it's a great time. And we're going to be there at 2:30 today. That would be, what does it say, June 14th, something like that. Okay, I told Rita I was going to do a 3-part series, something a little different than what we've done here before.
Somebody just called in and said July. I don't know what that means.
Did I say June?
You might have said June.
I wonder how we did.
Yeah, you did. The
July 14th.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
That was Chris, I'm sure.
That's tomorrow, mañana.
I'm still waking up here. Okay, wow. Anyways, I'm going to do a 3-part little series here for you during my part when I come on the show here. And Reed, I've been doing a lot of research on this particular topic here. And my story begins as follows. 1933, right in the throes of the Depression in the United States, there were a lot of folks trying to come up with creative ways to stay entertained, try to make the best of the situation that was going on in the United States and probably other countries at the same time. And in Dayton, Ohio, that's where my story begins. In 1933, there's a newspaper man named Myron Scott who happened to see these kids up on a big hill. And they have been putting together these ragtag kind of little vehicles, and they're shooting down the hill. Did you ever do that? I used to do that with roller skates. Get a piece of wood and put roller skates, and we'd shoot down the hill.
It's an original skateboard.
Yeah,
essentially.
there you go. Well, anyways, Myron Scott saw these kids, and in the course of discussion said, hey, this is really a lot of fun. I got an idea. We should hold a race. So he talked to his newspaper company and started getting some sponsorships, and lo and behold, within that year, he put together something called a soapbox derby. And his newspaper sponsored it, and I think it was 2 months after he had seen these kids racing, and they were on this great big hill, and these kids were putting together parts from what they called soap boxes. They were crates that would hold soap in cases, orange crates, wheels from baby buggies and so forth, and they held the first soap box derby. The thing was so popular in 1933 that it got the American spirit of kids going, and people got a little excited about this. Well, it took off, and so he, through his connections in the newspaper world, started contacting various cities in the East, and was able to get, I think it was something like 14 newspapers to sponsor a race in their hometown. And then Chevrolet came in as a huge sponsor of the whole thing. So in 1934, they put out an all-points bulletin to all kids of all ages and different age groups to come to Dayton through the series of competitions throughout the United States, and they would have this big race. Well, as it goes, various cities like Jamestown today still holds the soapbox derby competitions, and they go on to national competition. Well, in my research, it's about a little guy named Jack and his brother Eddie. And Jack's about 11 years old in 1934, 1933, right in that era. And he sees the ad. He thinks this is really a cool idea. The two brothers get together. They design a car up in Buffalo, and they enter a contest. And if you're familiar with Buffalo, there's a big hill on Best Street, which is near the old stadium where the Buffalo Bills used to play. And it was a reservoir at the time, according to the research I did. And his hill is a nice, gentle slope. And in 1934, on August 4th, this race was held in Buffalo, which was the race to qualify to go to Dayton in 1934. And this little fella, Jack, he was in a series of heats, won, and he and his brother Eddie then go on to competition. And that's where I'll leave my story until next week.
Ah, what a
So
break.
stay tuned. I'll be back with more.
Okay.
Teaser there.
Yeah, so that's it. So here you go. Great parade. You guys did a great show. If you haven't seen the parade, it'll be on later on in the year. You'll get to see it.
Throughout the week, I've been running into folks everywhere. I don't care if it was at the bank or in the supermarket. People come up to me all the time. I said, wow, we really enjoyed that show. And we said it was the whole team effort. Chuck Kelsey here at the studio, getting all the equipment and software together, and all the tech guys, Jeff and Randy and Chris and so on, Donald. We put together a really nice show, and we're very proud of it.
It was first time in history we've had a good live parade running right out of this channel, Channel 5, our access channel. And it was all over the county. We could watch
And if you haven't seen the little short clip that goes with it all, it's a 12 minutes behind the scenes that Randy and I did before the actual parade. And it came out really, really nice. It's pretty informative, the history of the parade and so forth. So thanks for that.
No, thank you. John Hamill's doing the job. We've got A.J. Dolce here. Mayor of Westfield. No, he's mayor of Dunkirk, and we did have a minor change to the mayor. He's the mayor of Dunkirk. How long have you been mayor?
A year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Breaking in and loving it, I guess. It sounds like a fun thing to do. And I wanted to ask you a few questions. First of all,
Sure.
You know, NASCAR came from the Soapbox Derby.
I'm wondering if that's
Yeah.
part 3 of the series.
That might be.
Not to spoil it for
All
anyone,
right.
though.
A.J. Dolce, where'd you come from? Where were you born and raised?
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk, New York.
And
Yep.
where did you grow up?
Dunkirk.
Where'd you go to
Dunkirk.
school?
Dunkirk High and
Did you
Fredonia.
go- Fredonia?
Fredonia State afterwards.
Okay.
Received a bachelor's degree in 2001 in
Bachelor's
English.
in what? fooling
English.
around.
Not that I'll admit to. No. I have an English degree.
Okay. Me too, as a matter of fact.
Hey, all right. I knew there was a reason I was on this show today.
Well, why don't you pull up a little closer
Sure.
to me? Because then he can get us in a little closer on the camera.
Okay.
He can move in on us a little bit. Okay, AJ, you like to be called AJ. What's your real full name?
Anthony.
Anthony J.
James.
James Dolce. And
Yep.
everybody knows you as AJ.
Yep.
Which is easier to say, I might add.
Very much, yeah.
AJ. Now, so how did you happen to get into the mayor's race?
Well, I had spent 8 years on Common Council prior. I served as First Ward Councilman for 6 years.
Okay, now establish for us the divisions of Dunkirk. There are two really governments in Dunkirk, and now how does that work? And where are you?
Well, as far as parties,
Not parties, just the divisions. Like there's a Dunkirk City, there's a Dunkirk something or the other.
oh, sure. There's the city of Dunkirk, and then we have the surrounding town. We
The
have
town of Dunkirk, and they're
East
two
and West
separate
town.
divisions, of course. Mm-hmm. And you're with the city,
That's correct.
Okay.
They have their own separate, the town has their own separate governance board.
right? And they even have another mayor or something, don't they?
They do. They have a
Which
town
is very
supervisor.
confusing to people.
Yeah, they have a town supervisor and then their own board.
Yeah, okay. Well, most counties do that. Most established governments around here do. Westfield has one of each. That's
That's
it.
right, yeah.
And so does Ripley.
Yeah.
You got one town and one village in that town. That's it. But two separate governments. And Cuomo and everybody in the state are saying, "Hey, you guys, get together, will you?"
There's a lot of governance
Yeah,
boards.
Ripley's just a
Yeah.
village, but it's weird. Okay, so you got in the marriage. Who'd you run against? Do you remember?
Dick Fry.
Dick Fry.
Dick Fry.
Dick Fry. Okay. Did you win by much?
I would say it was close to 400.
That's a landslide. That's a lot.
Well, I was happy.
Yeah. Well, how'd you get so popular? You've been on the council for a million years.
Yeah, I'd established myself in council, and before all this time during being a common council member, I was a teacher as well.
Okay, where do you
So
teach?
I taught at a few different places. I spent 6 years at Northern Chautauqua Catholic School in Dunkirk, a year at Purcell in Jamestown, and then I taught 3 years at Casadega Job Corps.
Yeah, I did my student teaching in the junior high over there.
I taught middle school. I taught anywhere from 5th to 8th grade. and-
Yeah, I did for a number of years. They tell me that if you teach in the middle school, you wind up, because most of the kids there are temporarily insane, especially the junior high part of it, you know. And you either wind up sort of temporarily insane yourself, so you kind of fit in, or you get out. And I got out, although a number of my friends tell me I didn't get out quite in time.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, it prepared me well for politics.
You can handle anything if you can handle that for a while.
You handle middle school kids, you're all set.
Especially in English.
Yeah.
English is the toughest course to teach because you have all those darn gradings. You have to grade everything. You go blind.
Everything.
That's why I'm half blind.
Yeah.
A.J. Dolce, mayor of Dunkirk, telling us a little bit about his background. He was a teacher and did a lot of, I'm sure he did other things besides teaching too, I'll betcha. And he is currently working on the harbor front. Now, you're doing a lot of work over there in Fredonia, I hear. And you have the Clarion there and all kinds of other things. What's that all about?
Well, the Dunkirk Harbor is very busy this time of year. We have a lot of great festivals we put on. Every Thursday we have a Music on the Pier that's very widely attended. Love the turnout we get for those. We usually get a couple fishing tournaments every year. This year we're celebrating, actually this weekend, the 20th year of the American tournament. Great crowd down there by the Clarion Hotel, and we're thrilled to have those guys back in town.
Okay, well, we'll interrupt you.
Sure.
If you want to take a call, you got a phone call.
I love phone calls.
Okay. We love them. Come on.
Love phone calls.
Thank you for waiting, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My call is about the Chautauqua County home, which I believe is located in Dunkirk.
It is?
Town of Dunkirk, yep.
Town of Dunkirk.
Right.
Town of Dunkirk. We do supply the water, of course.
Well, thank God, huh?
And to
We have water.
And to Fredonia, too, I hear.
Lake water might be a little difficult. My question about that is, I understand that the county home was for sale, and they had an offer, but they rejected that one. And now where does it stand?
They're trying to sell it again.
Yeah.
The county
County
executive
executive.
is hot on selling it again, so he says, we found someone else.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say or asking is this going to stay local, or is it going to end up like so many other things that get bought by somebody from Timbuktu and they don't really care about it and it'll just go down? They'll use it for a money thing until it runs out and it'll go downhill.
Well,
When they make their choice as to bids, are they going to consider track record of the company and whether they seem to be interested in the county home and the people, or more interested in how much money can we make off this?
Just in the article I read this past week, it seems the county executive is still looking to sell the home. As we know, last time the legislature was not in support of that. So I guess only time will tell how the legislature feels about a potential new buyer.
Yeah.
Now, who actually decides if the county home gets sold?
That would be the county legislature.
And incidentally, it's got by a large majority. It's, what is it, 60%?
Super majority.
Super majority, although one of the other laws they tried to change, when they tried to sell it, they didn't sell it, so they decided, the pros, including the county executive leading, decided to change the law on the super majority, just make it a simple majority,
Simple
which they
majority.
could probably pass.
It looks like they had enough for a simple majority.
Right, and
yeah.
God bless the legislature, they did say, hey, wait a minute, this is foul play. We're not going to start selling off the county assets with just a simple majority. There was a good reason why there was a large majority, super majority. I think it's 60% or something.
I would say.
Whatever it is.
I think
Tells
it's
you
17
that.
votes out of the 25 is
Yeah, that's
necessary.
at any rate, the county executive is still trying to sell it anyway. So we'll see how that works out. Now, God bless it. These seniors who are over there, indigent seniors, there's not a lot of them, but it is. It's not breaking the bank either. You might owe the seniors of the county something. You might have a few bucks tucked away for them. They paid taxes here for 100 years, some of them, and give me a break. Time is up. Let's stop trying to sell out the last resort indigent, very sick seniors have in the county, which is a godsend, our county home. Enough said.
That's true.
It's a
Thank you
tremendous
very
facility.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, caller, for your question.
And by the way, I'd like to welcome all the out-of-town people that are going to be running around the village of Westfield, which is having its annual Ox Roast, which is the fundraiser for the firemen. And lots of class reunions are planned for this weekend, and it's always a busy, busy, busy weekend. And I hope all the out-of-towners, and especially the one that I'm going to see from far away, have a wonderful time and enjoy their time back in Westfield.
Well, thank you very much. It is a gala weekend for Westfield and a lot of other places. I noticed, let's see, I guess Portland, or I don't know where it was. I guess
Northeast is having its cherry festival.
yeah,
I know that.
all of them have these big reunions when everybody comes back down to town for their class reunions. And in Westfield, it's no less. Usually, traditionally on Friday night, they have a picnic. On Saturday, they go to a sit-down formal dinner somewhere, and all the restaurants are tied up on Saturday night. And then Sunday, they go to the Ox Roast in Westfield.
Plus, it's followed by a dance for all classes.
Right.
Usually put on by around the 25th anniversary class reunion. Puts on a dance at the Eason Hall
Right.
for all the classes and all the people
Right.
from out of town that are in town.
Saturday night. It's always
Yes.
all Saturday
At
night
Eason Hall.
at Eason Hall, and it'll be the same tonight at Eason Hall. And of
Yes.
course, the town is bustling. You can't get into a bar. You really can't. The bars are so crowded. You have to sort of wade through the crowds.
That's very true, but remember, every 5 years worth of classes are there, so there's a lot of extra people in town.
Yeah, there are. Well, Seymour, our reunions have slowed down because none of us are left.
Well,
At my age.
actually, our reunion had I'm not going to tell you which year, but a certain birthday year reunion halfway between when our regular reunion is scheduled, when we all turned a certain age. And we had a wonderful turnout, and it was lots of fun.
Well, thank you, caller.
Oh, thank you.
Nothing like reunions, is there? There's nothing like reunions. Okay, AJ Dulce, I interrupted you, and I'll bet you forgot what you were talking about.
That's all right. Am I still on my schooling? I have a master's degree too.
Oh, do you? And what
I
would you
do.
take that in?
Also English.
Also English.
Also English. So I have an exit strategy for when I'm out of politics.
Well, that's terrific. You know, I'm one of those people who was eclectic in my. I do have a master's, but I wanted to go for a doctorate, but I had to take all these BS courses that really have nothing to do with what I'm
You mean
talking
BA?
about. And so I started taking courses, and I went to 9 different universities and took courses for my doctorate, but I never matriculated, so I haven't really got a doctorate.
There's
But
still time.
Well, they have to pay me when I teach.
Oh, there you go.
At the doctorate level, because under New York State law, you have a doctorate if you have so many credits, and I had them.
There you go.
So it's kind of a funny thing, these degrees you get into and don't get into, but don't call me Dr. Powers, please.
Oh, I was just going to start too.
We're with A.J. Dolce, Mayor of Dunkirk, just rattling on and talking about fun things. And if you have anything you want to talk about or comment that has to do with Dunkirk, give me a call. And the number is 753-5225, or just Jack, 753-JACK here in Mayville. Now, so you got into Dunkirk, and the politics down there is rough and tumble. I know that. You talked about the home, which is something that we're all very concerned about. But how about this energy thing, which is NRG, not energy?
Right.
What's the story there?
Well, you know, this has been going on since shortly after I took office, and coming up this Monday, 2 days from today, the Public Service Commission has agreed to come down and hold a public hearing. Much credit to Senator Young, Assemblyman Goodell for getting that meeting to take place. This is not just a City of Dunkirk issue, it's a Chautauqua County issue. And that hearing is going to start at 6 o'clock. We're going to hear competing proposals from National Grid and NRG. And starting at 7 o'clock, the public will have an opportunity to speak, let their voices be heard, and we know the public's going to come out and support the repowering of NRG. We also know that this is a $500 million private investment in the City of Dunkirk and Chautauqua County. Could be creating up to 500 construction jobs over a 3-year period, and most importantly, the stability that this brings. NRG has been a great community partner over the years, and if this repowering is allowed to go through, it would bring more stability for decades to come.
And there's a lot of public sympathy for it because it will impact the taxes of Dunkirk. Somebody told me they may even double.
No, not that significant, but quite a bit. The school district's looking at a 42% increase.
That's almost double, right there.
It's close, yeah. The city itself's looking at 35%. They're just the major revenue source for the City of Dunkirk and the city's school district.
And the county.
They're a huge source for the county.
So your taxes will go up.
Yeah, and that's why it's not just a city issue.
Yeah.
You know, the county needs to be behind this, and they have been. It's just been a community-wide support, bipartisan support. You know, we half jokingly say to each other, when was the last time you had just about every stakeholder on the same page and for a particular issue? The politicians, Democrat, Republican, are all on board together. Teacher unions in general, management, you name it, they're supporting this project.
Good. However, and I guess we got to keep an open book here, open page. You do have some powerful forces that are trying to go against it. I think it was the New York State Business Council.
That's correct.
Said, no way! And we're going to go right around you. They're putting a new line in, as a matter of fact. They'll be bringing in probably, I think, from Canada, extra energy. And it looks like they're trying to shut it down rather than supporting it and supporting the county.
The Business Council has not been supportive. We're also hearing that there will likely be a turnout from environmentalist groups at the hearing Monday. Again, people that don't live in the city or the county that feel they need to speak up. But we know this is most impactful to us, and that's why we need you to come out Monday at the Williams Center at SUNY Fredonia campus and really speak in favor of this repowering project.
What time?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. at the Williams Center at SUNY in Fredonia.
That's correct.
There's going to be a big meeting on it, and the more people that show up and riot, the better it'll be.
Well, if you want to riot, but at least be there. Your presence alone will speak volumes to the public service
It is important that we
commissions.
do show up, and then sometimes, in some cases now, I still remember the Westfield Memorial Hospital. They were bound and determined to shut it down, but there was such an outcry of the public, just the public, about it. And everybody, as you say, was on board. All the politicians and all the public and everybody, they actually saved the hospital. It's still there for the people in our area who need care in emergencies.
And that's how we look at this situation. We have an opportunity here to be heard. The Public Service Commission, thanks to Senator Young's efforts, has agreed to come down and listen to us. I see that as an opportunity that we need to take advantage of.
Okay. If you don't, and they shut it down, your taxes will jump again. And right now, our taxes are pretty high, are very high.
Very high.
In Chautauqua County, we're the highest taxes according to several different authorities in the world, apparently.
Just the city of Dunkirk alone, we're looking at an increase on an average household, which is $50,000, of $500.
Which is unbearable.
It is.
Unbearable. You'll have another parade going over to Pennsylvania, probably.
Right.
Yeah, we're losing people up here in Chautauqua County. Like in Westfield, I don't know what the population is over in Westfield. I'm close to it, and I think it's 4,088 last time I looked. And my grandfather used to say, "Well, it used to be 5,000, but we lost 12 boys in the Civil War." So at any rate, our population in Chautauqua County has been declining according to the census. And I guess that's because of the high taxes. And, there's nothing else. You can apologize, you can pretend, you can change, you can adjust, you can modify, whatever it is, you still have very high taxes here, which is why we are losing population. And we've got to do something about the tax load. It's murder. I'm speaking to A.J. Dolce. He's in favor of a tax cut.
How about stabilize? We could we'll do what we can to stabilize.
We had a very, very well-known member of our legislature here in the county who said, "I'm in favor of tax increases." Then she thought and said, whoa, wait a minute. "I'm in favor of tax decreases."
She got nervous being in your presence.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but we worked it out anyway. So AJ, what do you see for the future of Dunkirk? Is it going to get bigger, smaller, shrink, grow? New industry coming in? Is GM going to move a plant there? What's going to happen?
Well, we're doing everything we can as far as shared services. We realize that we're not getting any bigger, so we're doing what we can to work with our surrounding towns and villages to see what kind of services we can share and help out. One of the things we did last year was we expanded our police patrols to include the town of Dunkirk. That was something pretty groundbreaking, and we're thrilled to provide police services out into the town. I constantly talk to Mayor Keefe about things that hopefully we can pull off in the future. And again, we realize that we're not getting any bigger, so we have to do everything possible to share services.
Okay, you got another call. You want to take it?
Love to.
Hello, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning. I've been watching the show for the last couple of weeks, and you've had a couple mayors on the show. And I was just kind of wondering, it's a kind of odd question, but how difficult is it to be the mayor of a city?
I don't know. I'm not the mayor of a city.
Maybe
I'll let Mr. Dolce try that one. Is it hard? Is it a tough job? Is it always hard? Always easy? What?
It's a challenge, no doubt. Things aren't easy. We've been faced with many challenges over the years, and they just keep compounding. I had a bit more hair when I started last year. I hope you guys got the glare worked off there from these lights.
It's not white anyway.
Oh, no, not yet.
A lot like mine.
Not yet. But yeah, it's a challenge day in, day out. No 2 days are alike. But in all seriousness, I really think teaching and being on council helped prepare me for this job, and I do enjoy it.
The slings and arrows Okay. That answer your question, caller?
Yes, it did. And I was just curious, what's your number one senior issue as far as senior citizens?
Great question. I work very well with our senior leaders. Love to give a special shout out to Barb Bitus, Stella Mahalik, Carol Kozlowski, and all the ladies down at the Senior Center who just do a tremendous job. We've had some issues with the building that they're in, so we're working closely with them to try and help them out. We were able to do some with the parking lot. They were able to get some rooftop units, and now we're going to fix a section of their roof.
Well, it's an old school, right?
No, it's an older building though, so it definitely needs some improvements.
Where's it located?
I'm Franklin.
Franklin and
Franklin.
roughly.
Across from Cott.
Okay, and I'll tell you, it's the Dunkirk seniors do meet in what was a pretty big sized building. They had a lapping all the way around. You go around the halls, and I think it was a small school at some point, wasn't it?
It's possible.
Yeah.
I know they have over 500 members. They do many bus trips. They go to the casinos, plays, whatnot. Very active group. We met with them this past week in regard to the NRG situation. I know they're very enthusiastic about attending that meeting on Monday. They're actually going to be having some buses leave from the Senior Center parking lot, so we're very excited about their participation.
Well, that sounds good to me. Okay, caller, thank you for your call. I appreciate the time. It's very nice to say that A.J. Dolce is on top of these things, and he's ready to answer the next phone calls. We got a couple of calls.
Oh, that's great.
All right, you're
Love the
on.
phone
Go.
calls.
Hello, caller.
Good morning. I was wondering, it was a couple of years ago, you had a big fire there in Dunkirk. I was just wondering how fires affect the city.
Yeah, madam, thank you.
I believe you must be referring to the Masonic Temple fire on Central.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that was a very devastating fire. We had lost two buildings. Of course, the Masonic Temple building, a very iconic building in the city of
county
Dunkirk.
buildings too, didn't we?
Yeah, a lot of county offices were
Yeah.
in those buildings. Yeah, very very devastating. We still have a big gap in downtown Dunkirk. They're private developers. They're privately owned. They're not. It's not our property. The best we can do is make sure it's kept clean. Not make sure it's safe. That type of thing. But just keep working with the private owners and see what we can do. Okay,
caller. I gathered from your comments that it's not moving too fast.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's been very slow. Yeah.
Okay, I've got my list of things to ask you about. Tell me about the break wall. That's one of the controversial things that you have to deal with. You said it's fun most of the time, but sometimes it's rough. Tell us about the break wall, will you, in your own words?
Well, in the city, we've in many small communities, villages, we have many infrastructure needs, and one of those infrastructure needs is our seawall. It's been talked about quite a bit, especially the last 3 years. When I was finishing up on council before my mayor term started, we had a proposal out there for about $3.5 million. I thought that was excessive.
That's a lot of dough, especially for a little community.
Seawall. Yeah, it's a tremendous amount. So I said, well, I knew I was taking over this position. I said, well, let's hold off, see what we can explore. So we have another proposal out there for about $2.5 million. So, that's a tremendous savings, but $2.5 million is nothing to laugh at either. So we're out there, we're looking for grants. We'll see if we can use that to help fund the project, but we've engaged an engineer and engineering firm, and we're going to proceed with that project.
The seawall, you do have to keep it up, don't you?
You do. I mean, we have a lot of traffic to the waterfront, and you don't want to let it go. It's been let go for some time. We have a lot of rebar sticking out, large sections of concrete missing, so it's a safety hazard.
It's falling into the sea. Lake Erie being an inland sea.
Yeah. And then we have a lot of people that walk along the lakefront, and it's just not a safe situation.
They fall in and drown all the time, I know.
If that was the case, maybe we'd have better luck getting money.
Getting the money up, right. Well, the seawall it's down along all the way from the private to the public beach, all the way back to the apartment buildings,
Yep.
right?
Yep, and there's a large section of it that needs to be repaired.
Yeah.
Not the whole thing. but a
About where
large section.
Jerboa Street is, as I recall. There are all kinds of other little minor problems. How have you managed to hold taxes over there? Have they gone up, gone down since your year there?
Well, yeah, they did go up. I want to say 42 cents a thousand. We were faced with a $1 million budget gap from 12 into 13. Much of that as a result of the way the NRG pilot payment was structured. We faced over a $700,000 decrease from 12 to 13.
Yeah, your Energy is sued for a break, right? They said they're paying too much tax, right?
Well, just the last time they came to an agreement, they structured it so it was that was a significant portion to make up. We did make a lot of cuts. Unfortunately, those cuts went mostly unnoticed because we still had to raise taxes. But we kept it to 42 cents a thousand, and that was about $22 for the year for an average homeowner.
Which is not enough to kill anybody, especially since oil has jumped far more than that. I don't know how you kept it that low. How long are you going to suffer? Well, how long's your term?
2.5 more years. It's a 4-year term.
It's a 4-year term.
Yep.
Well, I want to ask you if you're going to run again, because you probably won't know until about that time.
Yeah.
And we'll see how much hair you lose again.
Might need makeup next time I'm on.
Take the glare off the top, right?
That's for sure.
Okay, we've been sitting with A.J. Dolce with just a fun discussion and everything about mayor. I'm sorry, last caller, whatever your question is, you'll have to call him yourself. Because we got to go off the air. I just got this signal that just came in, and we're out of here. Like it or not. I'll give you 30 seconds just to close off on your own. Go ahead.
Well, I appreciate it. A pleasure meeting you.
It's my pleasure, too.
Being on. I saw all the heavyweights you had on your intro, and it's just great to be a part of that. Lot going on in the city. We're thrilled. We do a much fun as far as festivals and whatnot this time of year. We urge everybody to visit our harborfront, our boardwalk, our points, our parks, our beaches. Softball tournaments going on, fishing tournaments, music every Thursday. So we really do have a lot going in the summertime in the city of Dunkirk. But most importantly, NRG public hearing Monday, 6 o'clock at the Williams Center in SUNY Fredonia.
SUNY Fredonia, 6:30, Williams Center. Will there be parking? Probably not. I mean, there's a million people there.
We're hoping there's a million people there. Yeah. There will be shuttles, and I know the school district has a bus going up too.